Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is MG Govia with OK81. I'm also your host of Digging Deep, our OK81 podcast. We had to take a brief hiatus there because of just the pandemic and getting guests together, but I'm so glad to come back stronger and better than ever with two guests today. I have Jason Crowe with Green Equipment Company, as well as Teel with Summit Utilities. And we have an opportunity to talk about damage prevention in a new way and how we collaborate as safety partners. So thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait for you to hear all this good information. So let's just kind of dive right into it. One thing that we were talking about right before we clicked the record button, guys, was how we do damage prevention within our own companies. So if you could just real quick, Jason, tell me a little bit about you, your role in your company, and what you do with damage prevention, and then Tim, we'll go to you next.
Okay. Well, I work for a company, Green Equipment Company. Green Equipment's been in business for over 40 years. Ed Green, the owner, got in the business years ago, as I mentioned, actually selling what they call elephants. Now, it wasn't, animals you find at the zoo, but things you would use. You'd dig a hole on one side of the road and you'd put this thing in the ground and it'd punch a hole across into another hole on the other side of the road, and you could run a utility, a pipe, whatever you needed to go through there. So that's how Green Equipment got in the business 40 some odd years ago, with Ed Green running around the U.S. selling elephants. Green Equipment today, we're a provider of equipment for line locating, camera inspection equipment, leak detection equipment, ground penetrating radar, everything associated with that kind of work that you might do. I myself have been with Green Equipment, oh my goodness, almost 15 years now. 14, 15 years. It seems like it's gone by pretty quick. I've been working with oil and gas professionals and municipal utility professionals for over 20 years. I got in the business selling pipe valves and fittings, but for Green Equipment, I cover the states of Oklahoma and Arkansas, and I get paid by selling equipment. But a lot of what I do is a lot of the peripheral extra stuff, a lot of training, a lot of seminars to really help educate and keep people safe and utilizing the equipment. So that's Green Equipment and what I do in damage prevention.
Very cool. And Tim, can you tell me a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I am the damage prevention coordinator with Summit Utilities. We are a natural gas distribution company, operate in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Colorado, and Maine. I primarily deal with Oklahoma. That's my responsibility. I've come from a field background. I spent 8.5 years as a service technician. So I was the one out there responding to leak calls, gas damages, and things like that. So damage prevention was an easy fit for me. It's really about the people to me and the relationships, especially when I'm out there on job sites and you're talking with the excavators and line locating personnel and first responders. Those conversations that you have right then and there, that speaks to nothing more than how important damage prevention is. You're protecting people's lives and property and things like that. So I really just enjoy everything about our industry, from all, relationships with you, the one call center, Jason, vendors like you guys. We are all in this together. I say it all the time, damage prevention is a shared responsibility, and it's up to all of us, to really make an impact on it.
Exactly. And I'm maybe the common thread, obviously bringing together the two of you for a podcast, but honestly, like you said, it is shared responsibility. Our goal, whether it's getting that locating equipment up so that so that member companies can protect their underground facilities, or a damage prevention program that cares about public awareness, as well as making sure all those pipeline markers are in the right spot and making sure that communication is done correctly. OK81's role is kind of bringing all that together to make it easily digestible for our excavators so that they can see, first and foremost, it's about the protection of them so they can come back to work tomorrow. And then after that, and any member company that is a member of OK81 will attest to this, after the safety of that excavator, it's then the safety of the facilities, because we care more about the worker than we do about the utilities. ideally. Everything is protected, but workers first, right? So that's been my role. I've been with OKAble 1. I'm in my 10th year now. I'm almost as seasoned veteran as you guys, but I've been with the company. I started as a contact center representative, processing locate request submissions, and worked my way through some different opportunities. And I've been in this role 3 years now, helping out, explaining everything OKAble 1, to whether it's our member companies, to our vendors, to the excavators, just to make sure everybody's on the same page and we're keeping everybody safe. So one thing I'm really excited about is the fact that the Expo is coming up. This is an opportunity for all three of us to work together to educate our excavators, other member companies, and others through the process of what damage prevention is. And so our Expo, just so you know, is March 9th and 10th. It's going to be in Norman at the Embassy Suites. It is a 2-day event. On day one, Wednesday, for our excavators, we have our heavy equipment rodeo. We also have 3 workshops that are going to be outstanding. You get a certification of completion for all 3. That's going to be line locating technology with Jason and one of his training associates over GPR. Then we also have excavation and safe trenching by Buddy Myers. He's an outstanding trainer who's been in the industry for years. That will go over that, and that training is also going to include competent person completion training, or training completion. And then my training workshop is going to be Able 1 certification, where I take you through everything from planning your work site to the completion of an installed pipeline, and the Able 1 process, of course, throughout that. So I'm excited about day 1, but wait, there's more. Day 2 is where we're going to do the actual breakout sessions of the Expo. We have over 12 breakout sessions already lined up. We're going to have 3 tracks. One is going to be dedicated to our excavators, excavation safety around electric and some other utilities, as well as just other excavation safety topics to keep in mind. And we're going to have our member track, where we're going to educate our members whether it comes to asset registration, how to do damage line investigation, what happens when there's unlocatable lines, things of that nature. And Tim is going to do the breakout session over damage investigation. So that's a great topic for anybody. And then the other track for the breakout sessions is going to be just professional development, whether it's a culture of diversity, whether it's building a better work habits, things of that nature. For all the information on the Expo, go to our website, www.okexcavationsafety.com. It's $75 if all you want to do is attend our breakout sessions on the day of the Expo, and $100 if you want that workshop training as well. It comes with free food, tons of door prizes, all kinds of things to get you in the door at a very inexpensive cost, because we're a nonprofit and we want to provide this training at the lowest cost possible for excavators in the state of Oklahoma. So Jason, can you tell me a little bit about the workshop you're going to lead?
Yes, I'm excited to be speaking live this year at the OK 811 Excavation Safety Expo. In years past, we've done a little virtual general line locate training class. This year specifically, I'm excited about being in person. I'll have some equipment there. We'll touch on electromagnetic line locating, seismic line locating. We'll touch on using ferrous metal detectors, but also I'm going to have David Dryden with Sensors and Software as a company we represent to also focus on GPR training. That ground penetrating radar is a pretty hot topic in all industries, especially when it comes to damage prevention. And it's really a specialized tool. Historically in the state of Oklahoma, due to the soil content we have, they've kind of gotten a bad rap, but there has been some advances in technology. And I think this is going to be a really great opportunity to get some good information on how to operate this equipment, to highlight what we were talking about in who we are and what we do. This expo, it's really helping us bring people together to maximize our strengths. As Tim says, we're all in this together, and this is just what I'm looking to do, is help give back some education. So no matter what line locator you're using, or if you're looking to learn how to operate one and don't have one, please reach out, and I encourage you to attend. There's going to be a lot of great information, because there's not a whole lot of formal training that's been available, especially the last couple of years with the pandemic. And I think we're going to have a lot of great content this year at the expo.
Awesome. And then I'm excited for all the breakout sessions, but one of them that I am going to attend is the one that Tim's doing as well, because damage unfortunately does happen. And so when it does happen, how do we investigate? What's the next step? What is the contractor going to be worried about? So these are things that Tim's going to cover. Could you kind of elaborate on that for us?
Yeah. So, like you said, I mean, we wouldn't have damage investigation if we didn't have damages. So in our damage prevention world, investigation is just part of it. And then recently, OKI 811, we had the new law changes come through in November, mandatory reporting of damages to the one call center. So I look at it from both sides of the coin. Typically, when you think of damage investigation, you're thinking of the facility owner going out investigating the damage that occurred to their own utility. But, an excavator can apply that as well, because, when a damage occurs, there's two sides to a coin. There's two sides to the story. So excavators can do some things on their own investigation to, help cover themselves and make sure that they have their ducks in a row. And then on the operator side, good investigation ultimately can help you. You can determine a root cause analysis, and one, you can find some common denominators on, where your problem areas are. Then it allows you to kind of focus your efforts to see trends and things like that, and address those things, up front. So, there's a lot of things within damage investigation, but having a good investigation and having the right pieces allows you to put that puzzle together and have a good foot going forward, both for the operator and the excavating community.
Great explanation. And that's the point that I really wanted you to hammer home, and you did. That particular breakout session is going to be good for the members who are pretty new owners of underground facilities. Maybe they just acquired some assets, or that excavator who's like, how can I protect myself? Like, if damages occur, can I show that I was trying to do everything safe? Or can I show that I was doing my due diligence and move forward? Because you never want, I've said this in a few conversations, liability never shifts from one to the other. It's a whole picture look, and they look at who did everything they could to protect that underground facility. If the facility owner did steps 1 through 100 to prevent it, proper line locating, proper communication, all those things, and then the excavator did everything they could, photos and preserving the markings and tolerance zone and all the other stuff, wherever that mistake happened is where the liability falls. Not, well, I threw paint down and it's now the excavator's responsibility, or the excavator is like, well, the locate was off by half a foot, it's now their fault. No, we need to look at the whole entire process. So I'm looking forward to that, just to get to that root cause analysis and then go from there and see just the big picture when it comes to damage investigation.
And that's one of the things that's exciting, I think, about what we do. I mean, we all have areas of expertise, MG with you, Tim, yourself, but this is a conversation that MG and I had about a month ago with a contractor putting a lot of fiber in the state someplace, wanting to know an update on the laws. Well, I'm not the expert in that, but the blessing in all of this is, when we come together in opportunities like this expo and get to know each other better and continue to build these relationships, we know who we can turn to. So when the contractor's asking me, hey, how do I minimize my liability as I'm operating and trying to make sure I don't hit these water lines as I'm putting this fiber in? Well, I'm not sure what the law changes are, but let me get a hold of MG. And if MG's not available, Tim and I have had a chance to build a great relationship over the last 5-6 months. It's great to have these people to lean to. So that's another good reason to participate in these things as much as you can to start to build these relationships. And as you do have these questions, because again, we all have the same goal, even though we have different roles, of just helping everybody be safe.
Exactly. Unfortunately, not everybody can make it to our expo. So what we do is we also provide regional safety days. And what a regional safety day is, where we kind of condense our expo into a one-day event. We go throughout the state. Right now we're looking at Lawton in April. And April just happens to be National Safe Digging Month. In May, we're going to go to Durant. In June, we're going to go up to Enid. And then in July, we want to do a virtual safety day event so people can jump on and watch our webinars and get training from wherever they may be. And then in August, we'll be going up to Tulsa. hopefully somewhere around August 11th, which is also 811 day. So we put our biggest towns of Lawton and Tulsa for the alternative, since Norman's so close to Oklahoma City. And then those safety days is going to include a 4-hour workshop, as well as equipment demonstrations, networking opportunity, and then overall training with 811 and a safety message. So those days are going to be completely free. We're going to provide lunch, door prizes, all these things for our attendees. It's a great partnership with us and our member companies who are in the area to promote safe digging around their underground facilities. So that's something I'm also looking forward to. I know that Tim and I are going to work a lot for the Lawton location, as well as probably some others before we get all this squared away. And Jason has already committed to help out with those event planning as well. So keep an eye out on that. We will be posting our exact dates and venues on our website, that same one that we use for the expo, the okexcavationsafety.com, as we nail down those details. Jason, have you participated in one of our safety days before? I can't remember. I know we talked about it.
I have not. I know we talked about it prior to pandemic, and then with all the changes that we had to make as member companies in the sort with travel restrictions, we had to put that on hold. But excited that we're going to be looking at doing that again live this year, and have some opportunities to network, share information, and help people be safe and be better.
Yeah. And Tim, I know last year we were getting all excited. We were going to use your resources to kind of look at a potential mock line strike and stuff like that. So we'll look at using those resources again and see what we can do to make April's event just outstanding for the city of London and go from there. So I'm excited about it. Again, to our listeners, check out okexcavationsafety.com. You'll see all this stuff as we finalize the details. And another way that we always work together is just like Jason said earlier, we do collaborate and work on goals and trainings together. And I'll get that occasional phone call from Jason. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to go out and train this company on how to use these locators. Can we get an 811 reminder? Can we go over the big picture with that?" And same with Tim. They may get a new group of contractors who are working for Summit, and just like, "Hey, this is a refresher. I know that I'm going to tell them everything I can, but maybe they need to hear it from you too, just to hear a different voice." That's fine. Jason, that's one of the things I really like about our partnership. We do not hesitate to give each other a call. It's not like it's going to cost anything for me to head that way. And same with your partnerships.
Absolutely. And that's the great thing about what we do. Although, again, in very different areas, it's a shared responsibility, as Tim had said in the past. And, ultimately, Summit makes money by providing, natural gas to people's homes to heat their homes and, their water heaters and all the other things they do. Green Equipment makes money by selling equipment. OK 811 being a non-profit, they push tickets, but ultimately, as individuals, Tim's sharing the gospel and making sure that excavators are aware of what's going on and homeowners and this sort. I'm, doing my best to educate equipment operators and help connect the dots with that. And you, MG, kind of playing puppet master to put the people together as well. So
I mean, it's in our name titles. I mean, I'm a coordinator, and I think MG, they got you as a liaison. I mean, we're middleman. We're that connecting between, your one call center, your excavator, your general public, and then the operators. I mean, building those bridges, having those relationships, reaching out. I couldn't tell you how many times it's like, I can tell you what the law means, but MG, that's what he gets paid to do. He gets paid to know the law. So, I'm going to refer you to him because he can probably, like the calendar one always gets me. It's like, okay, so a ticket's called in here, but it expires here. It's like, no, MG's got this great calendar. Let me refer you to him. So, I mean, I just enjoy working with all you guys, and I think the future of damage prevention is really, really bright, and I think things are only going to get better from here. So.
Yeah, from a very biased point of view, I'm really excited about what Oklahoma is doing. Our 811, as far as the industry, if you're a listener today and you have assets in more than one state or you work in more than one state, let us know if you see some differences or some ways that we can improve what we do. Um, some of it may be law, and so it might be a little bit slower to look at, but if it's a process or something that we can do to improve the communication or improve our reach to everybody utilizing this service and getting the best product, whether it's ticket delivery or communication between locators and excavators, whatever we can do to make it even better, let us know. We are in a very good spot right now. In last year, it was our first ever year that we had over 1 million tickets. We're doing so much automation, it's making it easier and easier for our excavators to put in those updates, put in their tickets so that our CSRs can take the time to educate those who are calling in emergency tickets or other short notice tickets. So I'm really excited about where we are and what we're doing. And I think we're embracing technology of 811 as best as we can. And hopefully other states are taking notice and we can get everybody to the same at the same place. And again, I realize how biased I am. I don't want to sound like I know every state. So if you're from a state that I don't work with, and you have some ideas, I'm open. One thing that I really like about our partnerships, and one thing that has come out every time we get together and talk, is the big why. Why our passion kind of changed. I know for me, there was a time when I took a job just trying to pay bills and process locator requests, and then the next thing I know, it just developed into something a lot more. I always say, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I was going to go around the state talking about digging all the time, I would not have thought that was going to be my career choice at all. And now I can't imagine not retiring from this, and because of the passion I have for it. So let's start with Tim, because I always go to Jason. So let's go with Tim first this time around. And Tim, can you tell me a little bit about the moment that maybe your perception changed about just how great of a job you have and the passion you have for it?
Yeah. So I've got a little over 12 years total experience in the gas industry. The bulk of it, like I said, was out in the field. When I came into damage prevention, we currently did not have a damage prevention role in Oklahoma. So when I stepped into it, it was new. I wasn't following someone else to say, hey, this is how I've done this job, these are your requirements. It was very much paving my own way, and really a lot of reaching out to other people in the state or other states, people in similar roles, guys like both of you guys, just trying to find my way. It was very fast for me to just fall more and more in love with what I do. I mean, I love my job. Like I couldn't see myself doing anything else right now. I've tiptoed back and forth. Do I go back into operations? And the more I look at it, I'm like, no, man, I love damage prevention and public awareness, and I just love this industry. I keep going back to the relationships, so that you build with people. I mean, that's what makes this job so great, and that's what makes it so easy to do the things that I do, is because of the people I get to work with and the opportunities that it provides. And when you prevent something from happening, when I get a call about something, like short story here, I had an excavator in Weatherford, and we couldn't find a line. Weatherford is about an hour and a half drive from me. I dropped what I was doing, and just before lunch, drove an hour and a half there, went out there with him on site. We ended up figuring it out, and would he have hit it? Maybe not. Maybe he's got good excavation practices. But that drive home from Weatherford, I felt good, because regardless of whatever may or may not happened, I mean, I prevented the damage from happening that day. Mm-hmm. And it's just a good feeling, when you feel like you're making an impact. And that's what I try to do every day. I just try to go out and eat an elephant with a spoon. So.
Yeah, exactly. And just to kind of echo on that, it's hard to feel the effects of prevention, right? We know when a line gets hit, and then they go and do the root cause analysis. So they tell us that an 811 call wasn't made, or they tell us that unfortunately there's a locating error, or that the excavator just straight up didn't care about the tolerance zone, whatever happened, right? We can look at that. Well, the 99% of all excavation jobs that nothing goes wrong, we don't hear about it. We just have to assume, hey, we had an impact on the bigger percentage, even though we don't know. And it's hard sometimes to stay, motivated, because when you do hear these bad things happening or accidents happening, you're like, wow, we should have prevented that one too. And you kind of get lost in it. And that's kind of what keeps me up at night. It isn't the 90% plus that is successful excavation and totally safe and nothing happens and everybody's getting their paychecks and the utility is sound. It's when you do hear about something, you're like, what else could I have done? And I get stuck there. And that's personally where I am in over the last couple of years. Because at first I was like, hey, I'm just going to just talk a lot and make sure everybody hears me. And now I'm like, well, you can only talk so much. That needs to be a little bit more focused and direct. And we need to get to the people before these accidents happen and figuring out how to do that. And I won't call it a white whale necessarily, but it's definitely something hard to chase because it's not something tangible. Jason, can you tell me a little bit about your career when you made that change?
Just to kind of reiterate what you guys have said, I think one of the big keys to the success of, and you guys may agree with me on this, of all of us in this industry is when you really look to become a resource and not just someone, processing tickets or taking care of meter reads or handing out flyers or selling equipment. But when you look to truly be that resource and help people, and when you make that pivot, that shift from where it's not about me anymore, and it's more about everybody else, we get those blinders off that, because it's so easy to get caught up in all the things we've got going on with kids and mortgages and personal lives and what's going on. And when you make that mindset shift and you really realize, as Tim's, the impact that you can have, that what I'm doing really is making a difference. I'm not just somebody out there selling equipment, trying to pay his bills, but I'm someone who's really trying to make a difference. And MG and what you do, you're making a difference. And Tim and what you're doing, you're making a difference. So when you're driving back from Weatherford, you hold your head high and you sleep better that night. When I get that phone call at 9:00 on a Friday night from one of the people I do business with, because they're out there doing an emergency locate and they're using a contract locate company and they haven't picked up the equipment in 3 months and they're trying to remember how it all works, being able to talk them through that, knowing that we've prevented a possible line strike. Those are the things that, it may take 5 minutes out of your day or a couple hours out of your day. But, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, end of the month, end of the year, and you look back and you reflect, you're reminded, hey, I'm making that impact. I'm making a difference. Tim's making a difference. MG's making a difference. And as you align yourself with more people like that, you just want to do it more and more.
Yeah. Right. I know, Jason, you were telling me a story about, and I apologize if it's too personal. Not even personal. That wasn't even the right word. But you're talking about people doing work in your neighborhood and how you're like, hey, don't hit anything. I'm right here. I have this equipment. I'm not asking you to buy anything. I'm here for you. Tell us a little bit about what happened there.
That was a funny story. Was it last year? There was a contractor putting fiber in there. We talked about it last year. Fiber installs all-time high in the state of Oklahoma. It still continues to be a really big reason for one call. It's just fantastic. Contractor was based out of state. And again, as you look to serve, I just stopped by, talked to a couple of the guys in the truck and said, hey, I know that there's a lot of lines here in this neighborhood that are not locatable. I live here. And I know some of the gas lines or the tracer wire integrity is not great. I know at my house, that's just part of it. The water department here doesn't have any way to easily locate their lines. And if you need some help, please, I live right over here. Just, you see my truck in the driveway, just come knock on the door. Come knock on the door. And this was when we started getting all that snow and ice and we're still in pandemic time, so I really wasn't traveling much. So the likelihood of my truck and me being home was pretty good. And they made it around to the block that I live on. In a matter of 6 hours, they end up hitting a water main. They end up hitting a gas service. And then they end up hitting another water service. And I mean, when I talked to him initially, I was like, guys, this is what I do for a living. I sell the equipment. I'm not pushing you to buy equipment, but if you need some help, just let me know. I mean, that's my goal isn't to ultimately to sell you the equipment, is to get you safe and make sure that, you guys get through your project efficiently. Yes, I would like to sell you some. You see the value in it and you see it as a benefit in helping you operate efficiently. Fantastic. But I reminded them after there was 5 ONG trucks, 4 houses down from my house, dealing with a leak after a gas line strike. I mean, thankfully no one was hurt. I mean, I think they just nicked it and there was a gas leak, but hey guys, I'm here. I'm here. Here's my cart. Here's my house. I can't do anything more for you than this, but just know you've got that resource. And that's, I mean, but that's one of the frustrations that you all face sometimes when you work with some folks is you can do all you can, and that's all you can do, right? You can lead a horse to water, right? But, and they may have reached out once or twice after those incidents, say, hey, okay, that's all right, and I'm happy to help. Tim's happy to help. MG's happy to help.
Yeah, I had a neighbor at my old property decided to put in a fence, and I kind of just looked out there, and there's already like where they were putting the fence post in there. I was like, okay, I see what you're about to do, but I don't see any flags, any paint, like there's nothing in the front yard. Like I think there hasn't been an 811 call, and so I walked over, knocked on my neighbor's door, and I'm wearing my logo, right? So I walk up, knock on the door, and I'm like, hey friend, I see you're going to be doing some work in your backyard, and it runs along our easement. Do you know what 811 is? And they're like, yeah, that's what like professional excavators call like when they're putting in like buildings or highways or pipelines and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's a good start. But also in the easement between our house, there's service lines and there's a right of way for gas distribution and stuff like that. So they marked that for anybody with a shovel. You don't have to be a professional, it's free. And this light bulb went off, and then they're like, well, how do I do this? And I was literally like, I will sit here and like listen to you make the phone call, or I can go on the website with you. I'm not putting the ticket for you, but I can show you how to do it real quick. And she was like, oh, cool, let me go grab my laptop. And we grabbed a laptop, we put in a homeowner's locator request, and 15 minutes later, she's like, all I do now is wait 3 days before I put it in. I'm like, yeah. And she goes, that's awesome. We weren't going to do this work till this weekend anyway, and it was Tuesday. And I'm like, this works out great. And then when she saw just how much paint and flags came in, she was shocked. And in a good way, not a bad way. She didn't hit any electricity. But nothing? Okay. So she was shocked in a good way. So I was glad to be a part of that, but that's just something like we can all do that. Like you said, that 10, 15 minutes, I hope, it did prevent damage. I don't know. She may have dodged everything while doing it, but I do know for sure now that it was prevented, like what Tim was saying earlier. So I think we just kind of change our mindset around every opportunity. It's not only when I throw on the logo and I'm going in front of an audience that wants me to be there. It's also when we have an opportunity to prevent damage or save lives. So I know that this podcast is getting wrapped up. I know we talked about quite a bit. Ultimately, if the one thing I do know that we shared and I want to stress is with this being such a collaborative effort, our safety partners are crucial to everything we do here at OK81. If you are listening to this podcast and you're like, you know what, maybe I can do more. If you're an excavation company and you're looking for opportunities to get our message in front of your coworkers, and you found my podcast and you're like, yeah, I need this information for the crews, reach out to me. If you're in Summit Utilities areas, reach out to Tim. I promise you, just go to the website. You can find them. If you can't, respond to us on through my information, and I'll get you into them. And then, of course, anybody who needs equipment or just general information about locating, Jason's there. So I hope that all of you know that we're here for you. Even if you're not doing business necessarily with us, we want to help you stay safe and protect those underground assets here in Oklahoma. If you can't, if you can, be sure to check out the information on our expo and our safety days coming up, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Okie 811 hosts live webinars every other Wednesday at 2 p.m. local time. These webinars cover a wide range of safety topics for both members and excavators. If you attend our live webinar, you will receive a certificate of attendance. And if you aren't able to attend the live webinar, register anyhow to receive a recording of the webinar the following day. To check out our webinar schedule, go to the Education Events page on our website, okie811.org. If you have questions or suggestions for topics for future webinars, please contact us at education@okie811.org.
So anything before we sign off, Jason or Tim, anything, final thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Susan because she is completely awesome. So
wow.
I know she supports this podcast and everything that you're doing, MG. But just to let her know, I really appreciate everything that she does for us and for the state of Oklahoma. She has been tremendous to work with. So.
Outstanding. I will kiss up to my boss too. Susan, for those who don't know, is the executive director here at OK1, and she is a big supporter of this wild idea that we had about putting together a podcast and some of our unique and out of the box ideas for education outreach. So yeah, she's a pleasure to work with, and definitely if you're looking for a leader of this type of industry, she's been someone who's been great to work with. So good words, Tim. I echo them tremendously. And Susan, I'm not just kissing up. You're fantastic.
Nice. Well, the whole group of people that work there at Okie 811 behind the scenes to help make these podcasts, make this expo and safety days come together. I mean, you've got a really first-class team working there at Okie 811 that keep all the pieces of the puzzle lined up so things look more seamless than they may actually be, and help us all look good and sound good and provide these opportunities to connect and learn. And that would be the final thought I would have is I'd encourage you, if you're able to, make it the Excavation Expo. $100. I mean, I can take, my kids out to a nice dinner and blow $100. These upcoming safety days, if you can get away for even a half a day, there's going to be a lot of great information there. Utilize the resources, use the website, use experts like Tim, MG, myself. We're all in this together, as Tim had said, and we all really want to be here to help you. So make sure that you pick up the phone, send the email. No question's a silly question. At the end of the day, I'd much rather have that 5-minute conversation. I know I would, and I'm sure you guys would, than hear about someone having an incident a day later, 2 days later, worse yet, with someone getting hurt. And so thank you all again for giving myself an opportunity to participate today. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at the Expo Safety Days or connecting with you here sometime this year.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, both Tim and Jason. Great partners again in damage prevention industry. I appreciate all your efforts and all that we do. And I thank you, listeners, for doing what you can to keep excavation safety going on in Oklahoma. You have a great day. Thank you, everybody.